So, welcome everybody to a new episode of Hot Date with ACP authors. And my guest today, and I'm so happy, is Susanna Mittermaier. Hi, Susanna.
Hello, Fatma. Happy to be here.
It's so funny. I love it. All these creations, whenever I do something with you or when we create or play on a project together, it's always so bubbly. And I really would like to say thank you for who you be and what you do in the world and what you create and for the joy you be. And thank you for that, first of all.
And thank you likewise.
So you see, it is not serious at all. But today, you are an ACP author. And you have not just written one book, you have written a lot of books. So, Susanna, my first question is, what inspires you to write? What is that thing behind writing? Is it ease for you? How is that?
It's so funny because I used to be really bad at writing in school. And so I never considered, writing books at all. Because the way that I wrote, was not considered good in school. And so for a long time I didn't have the joy of writing at all. But then when your life changes and you get all these new inputs and awarenesses, and I just had this urge of writing them down, but just for me, because sometimes when you write things down, it creates more awareness for you. And so I did that. And then for the first book, for example, I had all these pages on my computer, which were, the first book was Pragmatic Psychology. And on that, I just had some pages because, I was working with my patients in psychiatry, and I okay, so what do I know here? And so I wrote them down, and a friend said, "Are you writing a book?" And I'm like, "Am I writing a book?" And I basically asked those pages, "Do you want to be a book?" And I got this, "Oh, okay, so this is a book. Okay, so," and I'm like, how does one, go about this? So I knew nothing about it. So it was like this exploration and this joy of just voicing what I know and what I see in the world and what could be different, and voila. And then I found the joy of writing, but doing it my way, not okay, this is the right style of doing it, or, meeting some standard, but just voicing what comes out. And that's how it started.
So, a lot of people, especially people who would like to become an author, also an ACP author, they're saying then I have that book in front of me and I reread it, and it's never perfect. So what you're saying right now has nothing to do with perfectionism. It's just let it out and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes.
I love it. So it is possible. People out there, here, it is possible. So then you wrote your first book. So how long did it take to write the Pragmatic Psychology?
I don't remember, because I wrote bits and pieces when I was sitting in a cafe, when I was sitting in an airplane, sometimes even by the beach, because, I can't write when I have to do it. It's okay, now it comes, and then it's maybe just some minutes or something. So I have no idea how long that took. I don't remember.
And the moment when the first book was ready or done and published, how was that?
Oh, that was very scary, actually, because I remember the editor of the Pragmatic Psychology book, she didn't write any feedback. Sometimes when people write, "Oh, it's a very interesting book," it's crap. But nothing, she didn't even write "it's interesting," nothing. So I couldn't, I had no reference points whether this is the worst thing that ever has existed on the planet. And so it was very scary to get it out in the world. And then I said to myself, I have to do this. I mean, I have to do this for me, because this is something I really would like to get out in the world. And even if it means that people throw tomatoes at me, or, nobody wants to talk to me ever again, I have to do this, And so I basically, when it was out in the world, I did this. Okay, please, I don't want to know what, how that is. Please don't give me a feedback, because I'm sure it's horrible. So I didn't open any reviews or anything for a while, because I'm okay, I'm just gonna it is what it is. You can do this. You can be with this. And then to my surprise, people like from the beginning and years later write, oh my God, this is one of the best books I read, and it's so inspiring, and I use it every day. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. And so, things never show up the way you think they do.
And now pragmatic psychology is translated already in so many
Yeah.
languages. Right?
Yes.
You're a best-selling author, actually. Bravo! And then you wrote first. Which one was next that came out?
So I wrote them all. Like the writing process was not the same as the publishing, but I think next was published the Who is Henry book, the children's book was the next that was published, and the story about the peacock who tries to find himself, because so many people try to find out who they are. And so peacocks, I love peacocks. They like have all these colors, and they're like, yep, hello world, here I am. I know I'm beautiful. You can receive me and enjoy me, and it's on the house, you're welcome. And if you don't enjoy me, I'm not gonna shy down and be less color. So that is like the invitation to use your difference and your colors. And it's a children's book, and we actually found out that grown-ups love it too. So that was surprising, because you're always supposed to say which age the book is for. We can't tell.
The thing is, like, did you write it for children, or was it just like, oh, the entity of that book was here and just let it out? So because you yourself, you don't have a kid.
Yeah.
So
I am a kid. I mean, I have a kind of kid, but not a biological kid.
Yeah.
But not in that age that this could be seen for. But the thing is, that story came to me when I was riding on a train. I love train rides, because you have this beautiful view, and you can just, and so it just came, and I just wrote it down, and then I think then was like, it was up, from the writing, it was like, okay, this probably is more the form of a children's book. But it's like, it's just the story inspired me too when it came into my head.
And I like it so, especially at the moments when live classes were possible, and very soon they will be again possible. At the traveling bookshop, when I'm there, I always see that people go, and they're like, there's an interesting energy when people go to the Henry book and grab it. The whole face changes, the energy of the people change. I love to see that, or to perceive that in people, that just with holding a book in your hands, like you sitting down, creating that book, letting it out, it's being published by Access Consciousness Publishing, and then it changes people's lives.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. It's such a luxury and privilege to do that, and use your voice like this. It's amazing.
And then, because you're not creative at all, right? You're like, one more. And this is your newest book, Fairytale Family. I mean, what a title. What can you tell us about this book? How did it even come to the point that you write a book about family?
I know, it's like one of those subjects where people go, like everything else I'm willing to deal with, but not family, that shall remain untouched. So this is also something that I wrote, like actually 2 years before it was published. It was in my computer, and I never, I'm like, I think I just wrote this for me. This is not gonna be published. But then, it screamed at me to get out there. And the Fairytale Family is from the thing where so many people wish for their families to be perfect, like a fairy tale. Like, what else do I have to do to get my family to love me and see me for who I am? And then they never do. And then people do all kinds of weird things, change them, try to fit in, mutilate themselves in all kinds of ways to make sure their parents finally see them, or their family loves them, and so they have somewhere where they can belong to, and rather than the space that is possible when you choose you. Like, what if you become clear on who you would like to be in the world, and then the people who actually can contribute to you, they will come along, because you choose to have your own back, because you choose to be your own family. and then the playmates, the people who nurture you and contribute to you, that might not be your biological family, but they come along. And I see that with my partner. He has a daughter, and she's right now 15. And I met her when she was an early teenager a couple of years ago. And so I asked her, what is it you would like? How would you like me to be in your life? And she said, I want you to be my mom. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't know what that means. I had thank God, no previous, definitions of how to do this. So I'm like, okay, so how can we be with each other and for each other? And so we're finding that out each and every day. And I had not planned this. This is something that showed up, and it makes me ask each and every day, okay, so what would we like to be for and with each other, and what's possible today, whether it's a relationship you have with someone or your kids. What if you could start new every day and discover how your unique way of being with your family, being with your kids is? And that's where the creation comes in, and not the necessity of adapting or reacting to something that's been there your whole life, and then you think you don't have choice. So it's the creation of what works for you in this book.
Wow. Wow, beautifully said. So you really mean using the tools with your family, creating the family that you would like to live in.
Yeah.
How was that with your parents, Susanna? I mean, it's a family book, right? So
yeah, I mean, I was very inspired. I was very inspired by my own family, because I had had and have very different characters, like very strong characters in my family. And when I grew up, I remember many times sitting at the dinner table going, like watching each of them like an own movie, going, that's how you can be. Okay, because I had this, maybe my family is kind of Italian, I don't know, because everybody was talking at the same time and nobody was listening to anybody, and it was very loud. I'm like, so I was, and we called it, it just makes sense in German, Mi Bobu Mittermeier's bunte Bühne. So it's basically, we called it Mittermeier's colorful stage, because everybody had this character, and it was so funny. And I learned a lot about, like, being weird, being different. I mean, in so many different ways. So I had all these scenarios and could, okay, so this is how they function. This is how this person functions. This is how they function. Okay. And because there were so many and so different, I had to choose, okay, but how would I like to function? Because I, there's so many different ways of doing this. Okay, so what, so I had to very early, or had the privilege of finding out what works for me, and do I would like to like this person or like this person or not. And and many people grow up in a family where, for example, parents are divorced, so they get this version of how to be a parent, they get the other version of being a parent, and oftentimes they're very different. And I know, like, in this reality, I'm a psychologist and work with therapy a long time, and people often say, oh my God, that must be a bad thing, because then my children are, they are like impacted by so many different diverse points of view. That must be bad and confusing. And no, it's not. It's actually a gift. It's where the child can see, okay, this is one way of doing it. This is another. All right, so what's true for me? It's actually a really cool thing to find out how you would like to create your life. And you get that buffet very early in life. So it's cool, So there's no right way of doing family. It's like, what works for you?
What I almost hear from people who are going to watch this interview is like, how can I really choose to be myself with my family? Because I'm not willing to give up my family. I don't want to be the bad daughter. And on the other side, we are kind of the bad daughter or the bad boy. And what would you like to say to that?
Yeah. And it's like, it's the cool thing is that it's never an either or. You can have your family around you, and be you. So and the thing that comes in there is called allowance. Like your allowance for the thing that they are, even if they judge you, like, okay, so can you be an allowance that they judge you? Can you, like, just, okay, this is how they choose to function right now. And what if that is something they choose and it actually has nothing to do with you? Like the thing we do, we've learned to take everything personal. But when somebody judges you, it's probably not about you even. It's something about the person and what they choose and what they be and their need to judge you because you don't fit their picture.
Mm-hmm.
And most parents think their job is to make you fit into this reality. And seldom do parents realize, no. Their job is actually to empower you to be who you are. And that might be that you don't fit anywhere, which is a great thing. But that's not what most parents have been taught that their job is. So what if you're an allowance of how they function, but you're also an allowance of how you function and the difference of you? And that way you can have both and let go of the need to be seen as good or right. You know, you can have fun being the black sheep in the family, which you said, no, we all are somehow. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't listen to these interviews.
And you know, another word, and you already spoke a little bit about it, is like, I wish my family would love me.
Mm.
Yeah, this love thing is so huge. Or the mom who says, you don't love me. If you would love me, you would never do that. Da, 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 da. So we as your readers, like, do we get some pragmatic tools actually how to have more ease with that in that book?
Definitely. And it's also funny because you might also, see how much manipulation is going on, and you can enjoy those. It's like, how many times have you heard your mom say or your parents say, why don't you visit? It breaks my heart, and it's take it with humor. It's such a great way how they try to manipulate. It's wonderful. You just don't buy it, just like if you see it for what it is, if you see, oh my God, my mom is so great at manipulating me. Awesome. She's using the hard thing. Gosh, this is like a telenovela, family style. And you don't say that, you think it. And then you see it for what it is. And then when you add humor to it, you're not the effect of it anymore. And you can say, okay, how would I like to respond? How much fun can I have with this right now? And things change.
Wow. I so love it. I so love it. And still, I'm really like the fairy tale family. We all love fairy tales with a happy ending, and everybody
Yes.
loves, but nobody actually knows when the happy ending happened, what comes afterwards. And for that, we have that book now here. And I already saw somewhere you're facilitating classes around that too, right?
Yep, so there are always popping up some classes, with that family topic. And it's really interesting because it takes a lot of courage to be willing to look at that topic, because people always assume it's going to be hard and terrible and difficult to approach that subject. No, it doesn't have to be that way. It can actually be really easy and light and fun, because there's a new paradigm available, and these tools really make this something that's not so difficult to change. It starts with a choice. It's like, okay, I'm choosing to change this, and then see what becomes possible.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And it is already translated in German. You have
German
it there
now.
with you in German. You want to show the German?
Yep, we have the German here.
This is the German Märchenfamilie, fairy tale family. And okay, and now will you share some secret with? Are you already working on some new books? What is going on right now for you with writing?
So yeah, there's new on the way. So there's one book that is finished but not published yet. It's the follow-up to the first Pragmatic Psychology book. And that one I am co-authoring with Gary Douglas. So, but that's
I get goosebumps from
it's on the way. And another book I'm just writing now. And yeah, so okay. What else?
And is there anything like for someone who's out there who's like, oh yeah, shall I write a book? Shall I not write a book? What would you recommend? What can you tell them?
If there's somewhere in your world where you have a sense of the joy it would be to sit down and write, I would say do it and explore it. Just start. There's a blank page in front of you, which is not a scary thing. It's actually a cool thing because it allows for infinite possibilities. And when you write, don't try to get it right. be willing to just blah on the page and see what shows up, and let the life form of the book write itself through you and with you.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of it. But it's something that it doesn't come from I have to do it. It's something that you go, oh, I would like to explore that.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for saying yes to this invitation and coming here and playing with me and sharing the magic that you create and what else is possible. Thank you, Susanna, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Mwah.